Most coaches think that AI will save them time, but when done wrong, it can create more chaos and you end up busier than before. By the end of this video, you're going to know the exact AI tech stack that top tier coaches are using in 2026 to save massive amounts of time, book more calls, and run their business on autopilot. Last month, I helped a coach save 10 hours a week just by tightening up these systems. That didn't just give him his life back and time back, it increased his client capacity by 25%. Now, for a business of his size, that's an extra $30,000 to $50,000 annual revenue, all because he stopped doing the grunt work manually. I'm Henry Davis and I help coaches scale their businesses using these exact systems. Most coaches try and plug in AI without a plan, but they try out a few and end up with more chaos than they started with. Before we look at the tools, we need to look at your business like a factory conveyor belt. If you look at your business as one big machine, it's easy to get overwhelmed. Instead, imagine your business is a factory conveyor belt. Your product starts as a stranger at one end and comes out as a successful, loyal client at the other end. If there's a problem with that belt and there's a problem at operational level, or maybe at client delivery level, there's going to be an issue with increasing the efficiency of that business over time. And if that business can't run operationally reliably in the background without you, then it requires your input all the time. So it's very difficult to take time off without a lot of upfront work. Now, there are 6 primary elements to this conveyor belt in your business. We've got operations, we've got content, we've got lead gen, sales, onboarding, and then client delivery. Operations, this is the power grid that keeps the belt moving in the background, all the systems, all the metrics that keep the business operating. We've then got content, and that is the raw material that's being fed into the belt that grabs attention. Lead generation, that sorts out the lookers and the buyers, acts as a filter. Sales, which is our quality control station when we decide is this a right fit for you or not. Onboarding, which is where you package that new client for a smooth start. And finally, client delivery, where the final assembly is put together and results are produced on the back end of your business. Now, most coaches have a sort of jam in this process somewhere along the line. Now, in this example, it might be that the issue is between the content you're putting out and actually getting leads coming to you inquiring about new business. It could be on the sales front that you aren't getting a high turn-up rate on your calls, or maybe the conversion rate isn't very high. The aim here is to identify what the bottleneck is in this process, and then we can implement a system to address that problem. So wherever the bottleneck is, that is an opportunity to install an AI automation to offload that issue. In 2026, AI tools are agentic. This means they don't wait for a click of a button. They can think, they can reason, and they can move the product along this conveyor belt automatically. So here's the stack that I would recommend for you, and some really helpful AI tools that will help you to overcome some of the common problems as a coach. Now, within operations, I would recommend using Notion as your central hub. It's more than just a workspace, it's a living database. And if you want to track your CEO metrics, such as leads, calls booked, cost per lead, revenue and profit, this is a great place to house all of that information, and you can pull and extract information from other softwares into Notion so it's in a single view. Imagine waking up and wanting to ask the question to Notion's AI, which business metric underperformed last week? So instead of digging through multiple spreadsheets, what you would do is you would ask the question to the Notion AI, it would analyze your database from the previous week, and it would tell you exactly where your business is slowing down. Maybe it's the no-show rate on sales calls, maybe onboarding forms last week were taking a bit too long. Having this CEO view means you're making decisions based on data, not just feelings. Next up, content. Content is usually the biggest time drain in the week. You could spend hours filming, editing, trying to come up with hooks. But in 2026, we follow the record once, publish often rule. We can use Claude or ChatGPT to brainstorm big ideas and script for long-form videos from successful videos that are already out there. But the real engine here is a software called OpusClip, which utilizes AI's technology where it can take a YouTube video, perhaps a 20-minute YouTube video. You can drop the link in for that video, and it can instantly spit out 15 to 20 short-form clips as if you've got an editor who could rapidly produce high-quality videos and identify which ones are going to be successful for you, and then you can repurpose them into reels. Now, as part of a wider Zapier automation, once you've uploaded that video, the long-form YouTube video, as well as creating those reels, you can trigger Opus AI to take that transcript and convert it then into different shorter form versions. You might want to create email marketing, for example. You could create LinkedIn posts that you want to create. You could come up with carousel posts that you want to repurpose onto Instagram as well. There's loads of ways you can play around with this to take a single video from YouTube and then turn it into short form content. You've just turned one afternoon's work into a whole month's worth of marketing assets. Now, lead generation is typically where most common bottlenecks exist in coaching businesses because of human limitations. As you get busier, you have more clients, which takes more time, then you have less time to work and respond to leads, chats, DMs, all that type of things. And if you're manually replying to DMs in 2026, then you become the bottleneck to your business being able to onboard more clients. Now, ManyChat is a really powerful tool that you can install into Instagram. It can handle your inbound messages as well as things like comments on video content. And it is a simple bot that can take a knowledge base of your frequently asked questions and then turn that into an AI autoresponder so it can answer those questions for you round the clock, even whilst you're asleep, without you having to manually do it yourself. So when someone DMs you how much is your program or how the program works or what's involved, it won't just send them a piece of information, it will actually qualify them as well. So you're able to qualify the lead, make sure they're a good fit first before then sending them either to a landing page or the link to booking a call with you. And so that would massively increase the quality of the leads on calls for you. Then for those email inquiries or common emails that you're getting, you can use Zapier AI to filter through your emails that you're getting, basically categorize them as whether they are perhaps an operational email, whether that's just a notification email, whether it's an actual inquiry about working with you. And then you can set rules in Zapier AI to decide what type of email requires a response, and then it can draft the reply for you. So rather than having to create the email yourself, it will already be ready to send. All you have to do is just quickly check that you're happy with the email, and then you can send it across without taking loads of additional time as emails scale up as your business begins to grow. Sales is where we then turn conversations into revenue. Use Firefly's AI or Gemini to join every sales call, and then you can transcribe that conversation and it can create a high-level summary for you, store it in your Notion CRM, so you'll have a bank of all of your sales call transcripts so you can start to look at trends. And the real value here is that if you've got this all stored inside of Notion, you can then quickly look back, look at a high-level summary of what the conversation was. And so when you've got your first kickstart call, perhaps with this new client, or maybe a follow-up conversation with this prospect, you already know what that conversation was all about. You don't have to traipse through 45 minutes of calls to remember exactly what was happening in that conversation. You've got a high-level summary of all the key information about that client and what you need to do next. This keeps your sales running with zero friction and helps you spot common objections that you might help with your marketing. And this helps to improve your close rate without having to rewatch hours of calls. Now, onboarding is where most coaches lose momentum. You want to make new clients feel like they're joining an Emirates level service, not Wizz Air. Now, as soon as a Stripe payment comes through, you want Zapier to trigger contracts, intake forms and onboarding without you having to lift a finger. What you want them to happen is as soon as the payment comes through, the contract for your program gets sent to them. Once that's signed, they then get sent the intake form and a link directly to your onboarding page with a welcome video, all the key details they need to know, and an ability to complete the intake form, book in the kickstart call so you can get them up to speed rapidly. Now that feels like a really premium service. They get everything they need to know instantly as soon as the payment goes through. They're not thinking, I've just paid a lot of money here, what am I waiting for, or what happens next? It's instant. One form submission can trigger 5 different tasks if you want it to, or as many as you like. And what could possibly take 1 or 2 hours is now going to take you under 60 seconds. Finally, then client delivery, where you actually coach. You can use Notion to handle your check-ins again. When a client submits a weekly check-in, Zapier can send that information to an AI agent that analyzes the entry, identifies key information about that check-in, whether it might be a negative sentiment, for example. It can then look at previous examples of check-ins that client submitted, identify any patterns, and then suggest to you as the coach what it thinks would be some positive steps to take, because it will be able to recognize patterns a lot faster than you can, because it can look up all the data very, very quickly. For example, if the AI sees that the energy is dropping or motivation is dropping for that client, maybe they've missed a few workouts, it can flag them in your CEO dashboard as at risk for churn, as an example. It can then even draft a supportive voice note or an email or a WhatsApp message or however you choose to support your clients. And this ensures a proactive, not a reactive level of support for that client. Now, your client's going to stay longer because they feel like you're always one step ahead of their needs rather than trying to catch up with them a few days later. Now, don't try to build this whole conveyor belt system in a single day. It's going to take a little bit of time, and you're probably going to get analysis paralysis of not knowing where to first look. Instead, use this simple 5-step system to get your first result in terms of automating your business. First, I want to look at identifying the jam. So if you think about it as a conveyor belt, which element of your business is currently causing you the most amount of stress or taking you the most amount of time? Secondly, you get a piece of paper and map out the steps exactly as you do it now. What are those steps for onboarding that you currently do? What are those steps for client delivery and check-ins? What are the current steps for programming? What are the current steps for content reproducing? What is it that you need to do at every single step? Now, the most important bit here is to find the repeatable task. So what are the things that you're doing over and over again every single week that's taking huge amounts of time, because that is ripe for automation. Anything that is done over and over again is always very similar and there's a repeatable pattern to it. That is perfect for AI. Things that are not good for AI are things that might involve empathy, understanding, human connection. That's what coaching is. So you can't take away that component. This is just supporting you with the systems in the background. Next up, install the tool. So find the right tool for the job. Maybe it's ManyChat for DMs, maybe it's Zapier AI for inbox, maybe it is utilizing Notion for an operational database, but set up one simple automation to begin with to handle that repetitive task. And then finally, step 5 is measuring the impact. See what the difference is once you've installed that tool, either in terms of time saved or in terms of money made. A simple 1-step, 2-step automation can save you hours in a month by the end of the year. So once one system's up and running, you can then look at the next one, what the most high impact thing is. Now, for most coaches looking at the system, the things that are going to take the most amount of time is probably something around content, something around client onboarding and client check-ins. So if you can find a way to implement automation or an AI system that can handle a component of that, it's going to massively help you to step away from the kind of day-to-day tasks and look at your business as this conveyor belt in a factory where you've got clients coming in, leads coming in, and a system for each component of that system. In 2026, the difference between a coach who's burnt out and a coach who's scaling past 6 figures isn't how hard they work, it's the systems that they manage. Automation helps to keep this conveyor belt system working whilst you sleep, but custom AI makes the factory smart enough to think like you do. When you combine Notion as your brain and Zapier as your hands, you create a business that can scale infinitely without you needing to hire a massive expensive team, which obviously involves education, management, holidays, much more expensive team, and all of the complexity that comes with that. Start small, identify your biggest jam in that conveyor belt first, and then we can help to get that conveyor belt moving. Building a business that runs without you is the only way to scale without sacrificing your time, your health, or your family time. And if you want a head start on exactly how to do this, I've put together a free asset for you. Would you like me to walk through 14 high-value ways you can automate your coaching business in 2026? Well, you can get the full list below by subscribing to my email list using the link in the description below. That was awesome. I'll see you in the next one.